Snipers, you have to see what's happening in the Bitcoin price right now, as we have failed to break out of our ascending triangle, with Bitcoin right now fully below all of its daily moving averages for the first time since breaking out from 42,000 US dollars. We're starting to see a lot of narratives come out, like the 10-year treasury yield breaking a multi-decade long resistance level, the DXY pushing up because of that. Equity markets typically aren't fond of that. Bitcoin correlating with the NASDAQ more than ever. There's a lot to discuss today, Snipers. Let's get straight into the charts, because we know narratives will always come out, but the charts are black and white, and it's clear right now Bitcoin is back inside of this range with a support of 38,000, which we haven't yet tested. That's a bullish puzzle piece. A resistance of 42,000. We can expect a lot of volatility in this range of about 10%, and that's very clear. Of course, in any case, if we see any sort of a capitulation in other markets, Bitcoin has a lot of volume below 38,000. We could expect a bounce here if we see something abnormal. But I want to be clear, Snipers, at this point, these narratives, which will eventually fade away, and we will go back to the fundamentals, when we look at the revolving parts, the four-dimensional pieces to the market, in the macro, it looks like we are still in a potential reversal to see the uptrend continue for Bitcoin, to eventually see new all-time highs by the end of this year, potentially. And I say this confidently because I'm going to show you right now, if we look at the revolving parts, the Ethereum to Bitcoin chart is positioning us to see upside in the overall market and the total cryptocurrency market cap. And what's interesting about that, with the Ethereum to Bitcoin chart holding this major support, which was a very strong resistance for a long time, is now causing the total market cap to come on the table as an important puzzle piece. Because guess what? Where did we just bounce and stop for this downside move that we've seen over the last 48 hours? Right at this major support for the total market at $1.782 trillion of market cap. And so what that tells us is we want to start watching this chart. It's obviously having an effect. If you knew this was a puzzle piece, we could have taken a long position on Bitcoin there, because so far we have held this area. I do not think it is time to be taking marginal positions on leverage for Bitcoin specifically right now, because open interest is at all-time highs for this year, in my opinion. That's never a good thing, because we know the Trick, Trap, and Frustrate crew love to come in and liquidate a lot of these margin traders when there is high open interest. And so this also means we'll most likely see a volatile move here soon, by the way. So I think that with Bitcoin almost in a transitionary phase, it's certainly the time to hold on to the long positions that we got below 40,000, right? We entered long positions at 38,000. We entered a long position around 36,000. And so those long-term positions, I still believe, are in a good place. And regardless of what happens to the NASDAQ, regardless of what happens to the S&P 500, Bitcoin is the stronger asset in the pot. And I expect it to outperform these equity markets until we finish this bull cycle, because I still do not believe we have topped out at $69,000. I believe that we are still seeing a lengthened cycle here. And so I know I'm rambling, but I just want to be very clear with the revolving parts right now. Things are still looking strong. The DXY has almost already priced in all of these narratives that are coming out. And I say that because the narratives are in the favor of the DXY seeing upside. And you cannot sit here and tell me we have not seen upside for the DXY already. And so what that means is, if we want to be ahead of everyone else, we need to start expecting the DXY to start coming down at some point. And it really looks like we're approaching that area. And so maybe we see a few more narratives come out. The DXY pushes up just a bit more. But at some point or another, I do not believe we are going to form a higher high based on what happened from 2018 to 2020, forming lower highs. I'm expecting a third one. That's in the favor that Bitcoin, at some point or another, as it did twice in the past, is ready to bottom out and start a new cycle, as it did in 2017, which ended in 2018, and then what happened in 2020, which ended in 2021. I'm expecting this to be here soon. And so we're certainly approaching a destination. And because of that, the narratives now being stronger than ever, especially towards the side of the US dollar, which has been something on our monitor for quite some time here on the Snipers channel, it tells me that it's certainly the time to observe the masses and do the opposite. So the Euro to USD chart still holding up strong. We have not yet broken this major support. We'll also monitor this, since a lot of the narratives have to do with treasury yields and equity markets and the strength of the dollar with inflation and interest rates. This is important right now, snipers. The Euro to USD chart could give us an early confirmation if we're going to see abnormal activity with the DXY. Because if we do break this support, then now we can say, okay, maybe something abnormal is happening here, and we have to be a lot more cautious versus being a little bit cautious. But I do believe things are still bullish. I do not believe it's the time to be fearful. The Euro to USD chart also a macro support inversely correlated with the DXY. So we can even say every time the Euro to USD chart bottomed and reversed, it started a bull cycle for Bitcoin, right? 2020, you can see that's what happened. And then it also happened in 2017 to 18 that started the cycle for Bitcoin. So this is a very strong chart for us to monitor for an early confirmation. And outside of that, nothing else is really moving. I wouldn't say that we're getting much more puzzle pieces. The main thing I wanted to show you was the total market cap is something to monitor. We're seeing confluence with Bitcoin not selling off at this point from the total market cap, finding support. And so is this the opportunity for the market cap to reverse? We'll monitor this. If we break below 1.781 trillion, that would be a bearish puzzle piece. But as I've been saying, with all of this fear in the market, we're not seeing any confirmations just yet on the four-dimensional revolving parts that things are falling apart. And so I'm always going to stick true to the fundamentals that we cover here on the channel, which is we don't just look at Bitcoin, we look at other markets like commodities and equity markets, and we look at charts that are a little bit off the table for most people, which is like Bitcoin against the money supply, gold against Bitcoin, Grayscale Bitcoin Trust against the money supply, right? These are the things that make our channel unique and give us the best view of what's going to happen in the near future versus what's already being priced in and talked about, but isn't necessarily the best place to be mentally if you're in the markets, because you have to be forward thinking, not backwards thinking. So I'm going to stop rambling off, continue my walk. But if you enjoyed this content, smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm, snipers. And until next time, snipers.